We'll go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome Jordan Spieth to the interview room here at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson. Jordan, you're making your 12th appearance at this event, coming off a runner-up finish in your last start here in 2022. Can you just let us know what it's like to be back?
Yeah, it's great. It was a big bummer to miss last year. I had been playing pretty well leading into it and had good success the times I played it here at Craig Ranch. So I'm glad to be back this week and got a heavy stretch of golf coming up. So I'm looking forward to getting back out here at a familiar place with familiar faces. And obviously I've really enjoyed the support I've had over the years here, and it's hopefully going to be no different this year. So weather permitting, we should have some great crowds as the Byron Nelson always does, and I'd love to get in the thick of things and feel that hometown support like I've been fortunate enough to do a couple times.
And you're coming in with 3 top 10s this season, first start since RBC Heritage. Can you just some comments on the state of your game heading into this week?
Yeah, I think I kind of wanted to hit the reset button this last week, and I took more days off than I usually do. I got a little burned out trying to find stuff, and then I just wanted to take some time off, clear my mind, and then get back to it. So I took an extra couple days than I normally do, and so I'm kind of looking at this as kind of a restart. I haven't had the year I've wanted to have after getting off to a pretty optimistic start in Hawaii, and I feel really good about the work I've put in since the weekend into the few days this week. So, I believe that I'm really close to some great things, and sometimes that can be disguised right before it happens. And I'm believing that that's been the case, and just need a couple confidence building rounds or whatever it may be, and then feel like I go on a really nice run. So that's the plan, and 3 top 10s to this point wasn't really what I had planned. So I'd love to shoot up leaderboards and be a little more consistent and have chances to win golf tournaments.
With that, we'll open it up to questions. If you can just raise your hand, we'll get your microphone over to you. We'll start over here on the left with Paul, PGAtour.com.
Hey, Jordan. Just wondering how your wrist is feeling these days, and if at this point with where you're at with it, if you feel any worry about re-injuring it, or is it just managing it?
It's a lot of managing it. I'm kind of doing a couple different things to help treat the symptoms that I experience and to not have kind of some reoccurring problems that have happened. And so I'm doing a lot of stuff off the course, physical therapy side, whether it's treating tendon to treating the nerve in general, and and I think that's helping. And I kind of maybe got a little bit away from it as I got into a heavier stretch of golf the last 8 weeks or so, and I had a couple instances that weren't good. But I don't plan on that happening going forward with what I'm doing off the course, even though I will be playing a lot of golf.
Does it, taking a week off, does that noticeably help it as you progress through?
I think I'd probably be advised to take more than one in order for it to really get helped. But it's one of those things, like I'm not doing further damage, is my understanding. It's just management until I can figure out exactly what maybe solves the problem going forward.
We'll go to Schuler in the front with the Associated Press.
No Scotty this week, getting ready to be a dad. Will's out with the back. You're kind of carrying the Dallas banner again, sort of a 2-part question. How do you feel about that part of it, kind of being back in that headline role? And also, does this feel like the opportunity to maybe get this tournament, which you've wanted to win so badly for the last 15 years or so?
I think both guys wish they could play. Obviously, Scotty's is a little different reason. He doesn't want to be here over what he's doing, but you know what I mean? I think he wished he could be in 2 places at once. So I think for the tournament, it's unlucky to have that be the case because they're both tremendous players and big names and local guys, as you mentioned. So, and I love competing against them. I think it's a side note because obviously Scotty's been the hardest guy to beat in the world for a while now. So but I think in general, my approach to this week is it's very hard to win events on the PGA Tour. I'd love to win this event. It would mean more to me than most events, and I think that can be a good thing to think about it that way. I get really fired up for it, and it's a good opportunity to kind of, like I mentioned earlier, reset the season too. So I can look at it even just as a place that I can maybe look at a successful season and say, it wasn't what I wanted until the Byron Nelson, and then I used a tournament that's been so special to my heart to turn things around and go forward and start a nice run. So I think it would be incredible, regardless if those two are in the field or not. It wouldn't mean any. If I won the tournament someday, I wouldn't put a asterisk on those two not being in the field. But it's cool to. It's always cool to be back here and feel like you're one of the local guys.
We'll go to Adam Schupak with Golf Week next.
Jordan, at your Masters pre-press conference, you said you had a really good gauge of where your game is at. What did you find went wrong that week?
Two holes. Just 2 holes. And other than that, I could have had a bit of a chance. I've shown that if I'm within 10 on Sunday, there's a chance. So I always believe that there. So it was just 2 holes where, a little bit of I didn't quite have it tight enough in my game to maybe I made a little bit too aggressive of a decision around the greens. A little combination of both. It was number 1 of the first round and then number 15 of the first round. They were 2 different days.
What are you trying to find? What were you trying to find last week?
It's a lot of those kind of 175 and in scoring clubs. I've been focusing a lot on. So getting a lot tighter with wedges to short irons and taking some off of, taking 10, 15 off so that when you get a shot, into a heavy wind, you can go up 2, 3 clubs and chip it, and it just makes it a lot more consistent with the stuff that, when I've been making mistakes, it makes those shots really hard. So I've been leaning into a lot of work on scoring clubs.
Go to Rex with Golf Channel next, and then MK.
Jordan, just because you were part of the process on the policy board, what was your take on how the rollout was for the player equity program? And have you heard any reaction from players?
I had a couple players call me and say, wow, I didn't know they were excited about, what their grants, I don't know what their grants were. They were excited that it was more than they thought it was. I had conversations all the way back to, even maybe just into the new year with some guys who missed out on it that would have made it other years. And so I've heard both sides. As far as the rollout, I believe that it was made very clear to everybody that if anyone was confused in what it meant, how it was coming, and the rollout specifically, there was PGA Tour officials every week that could sit down and explain at any time anybody wanted to. I thought that was a good idea because I think it's very confusing. It still is for us players on, when it's vested, what's the best idea for taxes, stuff that we don't. We have people. We all have people for that. It's not what any of us do, and it's fairly complicated. So, I think your question was about the rolling out. I've not heard people upset with the process as much as maybe just in general the idea of it, if they missed out on it, or and there were obviously guys excited about it too. So
we'll have time for a couple more. We'll go to MK with CBS Sports next.
Hey, Jordan, with all of the Dallas sports teams thriving right now, how are you planning on watching them tonight? Because all 3 are going on, and then how do you think they're going to play out?
Well, Mavs are 6:30, I think, right? Stars are 6:30. Stars are 6:30, and the other one's 8:30 or 9. And to have a game at 6:30 is unusual and very nice. So I think I'll catch that one. But I mean, I'm planning on having to get up in the 4s tomorrow, so it's in my best interest to not watch.
And then the other is there any player on either team, whether it's the Stars, the Mavs, the Rangers, that you haven't gotten to play golf with that you would like to?
Stars, Rangers, or Mavs. I mean, I think the easy answer is Luka, but I don't know if he cares to play at all. But I think the most underrated player in all of this is maybe Miro Heiskanen. He's unbelievable, and I kind of like the way he goes about his work. He's one of the best defensemen in all of hockey, and somehow still underrated. And he's pivotal to their run. And that was a big 2 games they went to Vegas and won. So, I mean, it's fun. It's a fun time of the year when teams are doing so well, and the Rangers started back up, and you get reminded of them winning the World Series every time you watch the game. You're seeing the trophy next to the guys when they're introducing them and stuff. It's a cool time. So, and then once this is all done, you start getting excited for the Cowboys again. So that could be a mixed bag.
Final 2, we'll go Spectrum News in the back.
Hey, Jordan. Adam Rossell with Spectrum News here in Dallas. Just curious your thoughts or feelings when you watch a guy like Scotty on a heater, Brooks a couple years ago on a heater, kind of knowing you've been there and you probably still feel like you have that in your game.
Yeah, it's a very good question because I know Scotty. I've known Scotty since he was really, really young. Not that I wasn't, but he was really, really young. And I think he's a better person than he is a player. And having known somebody and seen them come up, and he obviously went to University of Texas, and I'm nothing but extremely excited and happy for him, and it's well deserved and all that. And then on the flip side, like it's kind of the first time I've ever looked at somebody younger than me and been in like that I've driven inspiration. Like I'm inspired by what he's doing. It makes me want to go out and get better. And that's always been someone that's been older than me. And it's kind of the first time I've really felt that way about someone younger, especially because I play a decent amount of rounds with him here in town. So I'm constantly seeing it, and I'm trying to beat him at home. And when he's playing better than I am, it sucks. I don't enjoy it when I'm side by side because there were however many years of our life it wasn't that way. And it's flipped, and I feel like I've got plenty of runway to be able to get it back, but it's inspiring at the same time to try to make that happen. So I have nothing in my way of being able to make that happen but my own self. I've got enough. I believe in my ceiling, and I believe my ceiling's as high as anybody's, and I just have to get each part of my game up towards its ceiling. And I've got a couple areas that are about at it right now and a couple areas that need to get there. And if they do, then I feel like we could go on runs together, I guess.
Last one here with Matt from the tour.
Jordan, with May being Mental Health Month, I just wanted to ask you, at this point in your career, some of the things that maybe you've learned or tactics that you've employed to stay mentally strong through good times and possibly through adversity as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of things I've struggled with that have been that have certainly affected me mentally is a lot of comparisons, being stuck in comparison mode or life and death, golf's life and death, and just not being able to separate it from real life and letting results dictate who you are. And it's hard not to some extent, especially when you have so much success early in your career, and not only are you compared by the outside world to that person, but I have a hard time not wondering why I can't do that every week too, right? So good podcasts, good reading, starting to reach out to maybe work with some people on, I have in the past on, on figuring that out. And so I feel like the last couple of years, I've been a lot better mentally than I was at other points in my career. And I think it's a kind of a rare position to be in. So there's not a lot of experience to draw on, but there are people who do a good job talking about it and having kind of different ways, whether it's the way you think, the way that you approach it, different actual breathing stuff you can do. Just just different tactics on how to manage it, and just kind of bringing you down to reality and say, this is just what I do. It's not who I am, so it's hard to separate that a lot of times, but I feel like I do a lot better job of that now than I used to.
Jordan, appreciate the time. Good luck this week.
Thank you.